welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. This show is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast, episode 12, title 7 Ways to Make Your Startup Look Professional. I'm your host, attorney Kelly Bagla, the queen of business law. You can always interact with us on social media at Go Legal Yourself, and do please find us on the web at golegalyourself.com. Today, I will be speaking with Richard Crawford, my producer, in studio. How are you, Richard?
I'm just great, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's kind of fun to be on this side of the microphone.
Yes, I bet it is. Well, it's such a pleasure having you today. And the reason I wanted you to be part of the podcast today is because you have so much experience. It's unbelievable. And maybe that would be another podcast down the line in the near future, where we talk to you about some of the experiences you have actually experienced as a business owner. But for today, it's very easy in nowadays to start a business, and everyone it's all about first impressions. So if you are thinking of starting a business, your startup really needs to look the part. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. You have to have a presence. You have to have awareness. Well, the very first rule of business is getting to know the person before you do business with them. And sometimes you're remote today, and it seems like you're supposed to be closer together, but you've still got to get to know them. So your site is the way to create that bridge to introduce yourself so that they get to know you before they do business.
Exactly. And again, you only have one chance to make a first impression. And having an unprofessional launch could really set you back as a startup. You're brand new to the industry, you're brand new to your customers, and you really want to have that wow factor in a way. In fact, I have clients that I have serviced for probably, I'm going to say about 8 to 10 years now. I have never met them. We have never ever met in person. They saw me on the web. They saw my website. With the experience, they engaged my services. So this is for people that are thinking about launching their business. You have to make sure that you look the part. Richard and I were going to be talking about the 7 easy ways that you can actually start to make your first impression as a professional startup, and really to impress your customers and your business partners as well. So the very first thing that I would recommend is to actually set up a website. Having a website, you can do business pretty much with anyone in the world.
That is your window on the world for sure. I mean, it almost seems now that it's a common thought, and yet some people are hesitant to do it because they can't imagine the work, the cost, or whatever. But you have to have that identification. And it is the thing that is the first impression, as you said. Also, we have to remember that a lot about life is a perception. And it's not only your, like you said, a first impression, but there's a perception of who you are relative to everything. And the website allows you to build your own personal perception to put out the image that you want.
The other thing that a website does, it really creates your credibility. That's what a website is really for. People, the very first thing that they're going to do, they say they meet you or they talk to you over the phone, they're going to Google you. You better have a professional looking website. Nowadays, Richard, websites don't cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. You can do really, really well with a nice professional looking website for a couple of $100s. But that is the very first way to start the professional look of your startup, is to have a really nice, easy to use website. The second easy way to make your startup look professional is to create a professional email address. Oh my God. Over and over again, Richard. And this goes across industries. It goes across professions. I'll encounter someone and they will, let's just say they're an attorney and they've been in practice for 5-6 years. They will send me an email address at Gmail or at Yahoo or at AOL. Does AOL even exist today? But that to me says that they are not professional. I don't want to do business with someone that cannot go out and actually have a professional email address. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, of course. Because, again, it is the impression. It is the contact point and the perception you're going to create immediately. People make that decision rapidly based on whether they see these key elements that speak on your behalf.
Exactly.
Speak for you.
Exactly. And also, when you are dealing with professionals such as CPAs and attorneys, you as the client or the customer, you don't want to send out private, confidential information to a Gmail account. Please don't do that. Huge tip. Business owners, do not do that.
Well, I learned from you something I wasn't really fully aware of, and that's the legal requirements of having something in your on your email and on your web page that makes certain that you're legally protected if someone wants to use that. Can you address that for just a second?
Yes, absolutely. So on your website, you have to have the 3 must-haves. There has to be terms and conditions. There has to be a privacy policy, and there has to be disclaimer. All of these 3 things must be on your website, because your website actually is governed by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And especially when you are receiving information from someone, it can be as simple as signing up for a newsletter. But you are actually receiving someone's name, someone's address, someone's contact information. That's considered private information. And if you don't tell them how you're treating that information private, and that information actually gets out, you can be on the hook. You can personally be sued for that. So I do address this in my book, actually, Richard. It's called Go Legal Yourself. If you want to find out more information about this, please pick up a copy. It's a very, very easy read, but that is a definite must-have. And then as far as your email goes, it's highly recommended that you actually use some sort of verbiage in your email at the bottom that says that you disclaim if the email goes into the wrong hands, that it's not supposed to be intended for their use, that they need to delete it immediately. Because emails, especially if you're going to be sending it to a Gmail account, please don't do that. You know, it goes out to the world and sometimes it gets lost. So you need some sort of disclaimer in your email as well. Thank you for bringing that point up.
I would like to say about your book, what the value I found is that it's better to prevent problems from happening legally than to try to fix them later and cost you lots of money. It seemed like an obvious thought, but not many of us who start business, because we have so much in front of us and so many things to do, to start looking in advance of how we could get into legal trouble. And that's what I think your book was most effective to me, was to remind me that you have to prepare and plan your legal life cycle so that you're already prepared and you don't spend a lot of money trying to get yourself out of a jam.
Exactly. Business owners, they don't have millions of dollars to spend on mistakes that they cannot afford. Highly would recommend, pick up a copy of the book. The third way to make yourself look more professional is actually get a business phone number. They cost nothing nowadays. That's fair and dandy. You can absolutely use your cell phone. You can put your cell phone on your business card. In fact, I provide both to my clients, but definitely get a business telephone number. The fourth way to make your startup look more professional is use a business address. Do not put your home address on your website. It's not safe for you. You have no idea where this information is going. In fact, it's going out to the world. So unless you actually have an extended office as part of your home and there's a separate entrance in and out of that office, that's fine. But seriously, again, it's that first impression. It keeps going back to the first impression. Do not use your personal address as your business address. The fifth thing, Richard, and you would probably talk a lot more to this too, is that invoicing. When you are invoicing a client, please invoice professionally and also promptly. So when you provide someone a service, you actually are in the business of producing. You produce videos, you create companies, you make them stand out, and your company, One Productions, it provides services. And when it provides services, you provide an invoice. And on that invoice, you better have your logo If you don't have a logo, at least have a name. Again, it goes to first impressions. You do not want to give the appearance to someone that they are doing business with someone that has just started. It's okay to just start out. But again, first impressions, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and what I've learned from you is that you need to have legal backup. It's good to have a professional invoice because you can prove in another case if there's a legal issue that this is what you charge and this is what the agreement was. So that in saving your emails and keeping track of everything, because it can be very valuable for you, and I've had that happen in my life, and I'm so thankful that I had backup documentation, especially invoices.
Exactly. And then make sure that you actually promptly provide those invoices too, because customers are more than happy to pay you when they know you've just provided a service and here comes the invoice. But if you invoice them 2, 3, 4 months down the road, they're going to be very upset with you, and that is not professional at all. So the 6th way to make your startup look a lot more professional is to establish a social media presence. For some people, this could be very difficult because they are very private people. In fact, I'm very private, Richard, and I'm not really big on Facebook and sort of Twitter, and I don't even know what some of the other platforms are. But this is where you hire someone, you hire a professional to create your social media presence, because again, today, it creates that credibility for you. You could be brand new, but if you have some sort of presence out there on the web, automatically people are connecting with you and thinking, okay, well, this person really has their ducks in a row, if you will.
It works another way too as well. When, let's say, you Facebook and LinkedIn, it gives you cachet because you're already on LinkedIn. That means you have access to everybody else's LinkedIn account, and it becomes a valuable marketing tool to find the kind of people you want to market to. So that if profiles of your profile, people look at your profile and they want to do business with you just because they saw your profile on one of the social media sites. So it's very valuable for expanding your marketing.
That's very true as well. And since you are a brand new startup, you want exposure and you want people to see you. So you need to be out there on these social media platforms, if you will. And again, if you don't know how to do it, hire someone. And again, in today's age, it's not that costly. The 7th way and the final way to really make your startup look professional is to build business credit. So when you incorporate, you eventually open a bank account, and with that bank account, it's going to be in the name of the business. You are also going to apply for a credit card in the name of the business. So now you're building business credit. You're going to be using that credit card to purchase whatever you need on behalf of the business, and you do not use your own personal card. There are reporting companies out there that actually build credit for businesses as well, and I'm sure you're well aware of this, Richard. But when someone is trying to do their homework on you, and or for example, you're trying to get a loan from the bank for your business, if your business doesn't have credit, they're not going to give you that loan. Simple as that. So you need to start building that credit. These are simple ways that really do not cost a lot of money that can help your startup look really, really professional.
Some people say it's old school, but having a good business card that represents you, that's clear and shows who you are. The thing I found is not just about having the card, but you're able to go up to someone who you'd like to get their card, and you reach out and hand them a card and say, may I give you my card and may I have yours, please? And it's amazing how many contact cards you can get just because you're offering a card. And so that it needs to look really professional. It's a very first impression again.
Exactly.
And it needs to be simple, and you understand what your business is about. So many cards I get, I don't know what their business is, especially after I leave, and I go, who was this?
Exactly.
What are they selling? What are they?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Yes. And having a business card and having that professional business card is huge to make that first impression. One piece of advice on a business card: please don't use the cheap paper for your business card, because that's the impression that you're giving others, that your business is cheap, you're cheap. So invest the extra $2 and get the premium card for your business. As always, please feel free to connect with us, to send us some comments. You can go directly to golegalyourself.com, go to the contact page and leave us comments, questions. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions on air. And remember, the only way you become successful is if you make today the day you go legal yourself. I am Attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law, and it has been a pleasure being your host. Until next time, cheers to your success.